Hey, thank you for joining and welcome to my channel, actually. And deciding to spend time with me. So, my blog, yeah, it's blog, let's to be honest. It's more about the architecture, sovereign data, knowledge graphs, artificial intelligence agents, and everything that matter in nowadays. you know Actually, I started this as a hobby and was blogging about the tea and mate, but at some point decided to switch to English from Ukrainian and start talking about the architecture. So I'm software architect and principal developer uh, for quite long time. So I'm architect from 2007 and principal developer. Yeah, we just invented this fancy title not so long time ago. So, and you know, as I said, my channel is about the sovereignty, sovereign data, decentralized systems. I really believe deeply on democratizing of the compute, democratizing of artificial intelligence. I really believe in property rights and data ownership. So I really believe that data should belong to the user, and the user should have the full control on it. And it's really better because the data is a key from your life. And in an era of the artificial intelligence, we really need the ownership to have the fair uh, payback for our data, for our contribution, for contributing to training the models. We also deserve to get the insights on our data and so on. So, my journey started at 1995 when I just used the Pascal, or no, not Pascal, it's even basic, wrote the first program, and some magic happens, and I get hooked to the programming, and I tried so many different things over this 20, practically 23 years. And I made the journey from the software developer, the tester, the project manager, the system architect, the business analyst. In some point, I jumped to the startup world, and I still in a startup setup. I really believe that organizations that driven by purpose and a bit limited in resources really could make the great things. Yeah. And I'm blogging also about the organizational things, the management, and so on sometimes. But you really need to ask me about this because I'm more about the technical, nerdy topics and so on. And um, I was working as a system architect for a long time and in many different companies, the big labels like Zalando and TomTom and all things. But in some point of time in TomTom, I just realized that, we live in some kind of Soviet Union when we're talking about data. And I was born in Soviet Union, and I know how the communism and all this stuff works. That you produce everything but gets nothing back. Yeah, they take everything from you. And it's the same story of the data, that even this video that you're watching on YouTube, actually, it's the property of the YouTube. And if they will decide that isn't good enough or they don't like it, they will just take it. And that's why I have coupled the decentralized platforms that mirror the YouTube and all of things like the PeerTube and Mastodon and all the things. But we could talk about this topic separately. And I just realized that on TomTom I was working on the traffic department, traffic analytics, and the users commute to the work, use the navigator every day, but they just report back the traces, and these traces create the enormous amount of value to the company because they use for different kind of data products, but the user actually uh, gets back not so much. They say that the user gets the better service in exchange. Yeah, quite questionable. And I just realized that we live in a world of this Web 2 as decentralized Web 3 folk say, and they try to demonize it actually. But the problem is deeper. The problem is that we don't have the ownership to our data. We don't own the data. and the platforms own the data, and I haven't get the answer how to change it, right? And in some point of time, it was the COVID times, where one of my startups crashed completely, unfortunately, and I was practically unemployed, and I needed a affinity as a company, and this guys was doing the self-sovereign identity, and for me it was the magic. But I get some preparation, I read some slides from them, study the topic, renew my knowledge from the cryptology. I made a lot of crypto for the embedded systems, for the system on chip, and all the things. So my education is more the hardware, so the how to send something to the space and hope that it will not fall back. And yeah, and I get a job. I get a job, and in 1.5 years, I get the expert in self-sovereign identity, cryptography, the verifiable credentials, and the majority of my blog actually it's about the decentralized identifiers, decentralized systems, credentials, sovereignty, and ownership. But after 3 years, I just realized that the company slightly dying or changing the purpose. And I find the guys called Kin, or my team, where I currently working, that they had the quite ambitious goal to combine the self-sovereign identity with the private and privacy-focused artificial intelligence. And we had the goal to democratize the personal AI and give the AI assistant for everybody that nobody is able to take from you. And more important, that all the conversations, all the data stored on your device belongs only to you. You make fully sure that nobody use it against you for the training of the models or doing any crazy things. We really obsessed with the ethical artificial intelligence. And in some point, I get the answer that the architecture that user-centric, fair in a data already exists. We have the self-sovereign principles. We have the privacy by design principles. We have the identity laws and all the things that I'm talking for a long time on my uh, channel. And I changed the purpose. I really extend the understanding of the sovereignty, not just from identity point, but from the data that you own. And we have a little hidden gem in Kin, actually, that while you just spending time with Kin and talking on the background, we have really sophisticated memory. And this memory built on top of the super powerful concept graphs that collect the data about yourself, your life experience, your insights, your thoughts, your beliefs, and this condensed concept graph represent the small data sets. And the small data sets is data that matters, data that you could digest, and data that you could take the decision on top of it. Maybe with the help of the artificial intelligence, for sure. But this data, it's interoperable, interchangeable, and it's not fitting to the verifiable credentials. And it's the main shift that I made, that data could be sovereign, data could be in ownership of you. We built on top of all these privacy and ethical frameworks, and we really deeply believe on the local fast architecture. And that's the main topic of my blog. Yeah. So the local first, the sovereignty, the democratizing of the artificial intelligence, building the artificial intelligence agents, building the memory. I'm obsessed with the memory. I'm obsessed with the memory and time. I'm obsessed with the event processing, the causality, relations, and all of it. So if you're really obsessed on these topics, join my channel, be with me, comment on my videos. I also have the Medium blog. I quite active in different social medias. So I will be happy that you will spend your time with me and share your thoughts. Be my co-creator and friend that leave the comments, start the discussions, ask the questions. I will be happy to answer all of them and stay connected. Choose. See you next time.